We are with students in person Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And there's like an A-B schedule. Wednesday's remote completely for everyone. And then we also have students in that group that will never enter the school, but we're still responsible for. So we have our entire group of 150 awesome sixth graders. And then some of them we see, some of them we don't. We just make it all work.
Thank you so much for joining me here today. Why don't we just start off if you could tell everybody a little bit about yourself, your role as a teacher, and also with the Teach Better team?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, my name is Ray Hewart. Super stoked to be here. I follow you on Instagram. Love you sharing all your stories and your insight. So super happy to just keep our conversation going too. I am a full-time sixth grade math teacher in Illinois, as well as a part of the Teach Better team. So I kind of get to be in the classroom with students, like in the trenches, while also navigating, supporting educators during this crazy time with the team. We do, professional development, but we also do a ton of stuff like blogs, podcasts, everything in between, in hopes of just supporting whatever type of educator all of you guys are. We try and find something that we can do to help us all keep that teach better mindset of like better today, better tomorrow, always growing, always loving our job type thing.
Yes, and you guys are putting out such amazing stuff. I get so much value all the time, and I appreciate you had me on your podcast. It's almost a year now ago. So, and you guys right now you said you're in Illinois. Is your school back in session? Are you hybrid? Are you remote? What's your deal?
Yeah, super good question. So we have been kind of on and off all fall. We started remote, we went back to school. We couldn't sustain it. Things didn't quite work as perfectly. It's kind of like the mantra of 2020. So you're in hybrid, then we went back remote, and then we've gone into winter break planning on, and you know that everything changes in an instant. So at this moment, we get to go back to Institute Day on the 4th of January, and we're remote for that entire week. And then students come back in a hybrid model the following week.
Okay,
So
so it's
we
like
will have, yeah, so it's like we're slowly going back. And then a hybrid model for us, just to clarify, because I know every single school looks different. We are with students in person Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And there's like an A-B schedule. Wednesday's remote completely for everyone. And then we also have students in that group that will never enter the school, but we're still responsible for. So we have our entire group of 150 awesome sixth graders. And then some of them we see, some of them we don't. We just make it all work.
awesome. I love that. Making it work, striving to do better. And that's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about today. One of the things that we want to do is we want to make sure that we're really supporting teachers as they go back into the classroom, because I know I was in hybrid and it's difficult. You're here, you're there, you have students in person, you have students who are fully remote. And so there's a lot of new kind of workflows and strategies that we have to implement. So I was hoping you could share with us your top 3 hybrid strategies.
Yeah, I would love to. And I think it's really important, like as educators reflect on how their classroom is functioning right now, I think it's interesting to think about that. A lot of educators don't get to decide in this current moment, depending on what your role is in education, if you're in the classroom, if you're not. So what I really like to focus on is, regardless of your situation, once you know what it is, how you're going to do it to the best of your ability and continue growing. So these 3 tips were totally spot on. I was so excited to talk through this with you. The first one I think that's really important is setting up routines. Routines can look like a ton of different pieces, but my first tip for surviving hybrid is having something that you can do consistently. That doesn't mean you don't have, tricks you're pulling out of your hat to like fun engagement and stuff for students, but being able for your students, whether they're physically walking into your room or popping in virtually, having them understand the routines of the classroom, how the flow goes. So for me personally, my students, no matter where they are on the planet, we all start together. We all hop on a Google Meet. Even if they're physically in my classroom, we all hop on a Google Meet so we can include everybody in our learning community. And we start with like a 5 to 10 minute, I call it teacher time. It's not really a mini lesson. Sometimes it is, but you know how it is as an educator. Like sometimes you do want to go over content. Sometimes you want to go over a common question. Sometimes you just want to like hang out and talk shop
Right.
and like, goof off. So I love having that time built in every single day. So students know first 5 to 10 minutes, like we're all family all together. Then students go and they work, and we can get into that a little bit if you're interested. And then the last 5 minutes is goal setting and reflection. So students reflect on their day and set a goal for themselves the following day. And that like structure, that routine, I think really helps students understand what they're getting themselves into, in addition to having some good laughs.
And I like that because it does follow kind of that warm up exit ticket. I do something similar. I still call it warm up and exit ticket, but unlike in the more traditional setting, I am much more flexible with it. It's not always that traditional warm up formative assessment and things like that. Great. Awesome.
No,
So let's
and I think that it's a I was gonna say it's like a comfortable layout for teachers, right? And I think that the comfort teachers find in that, students find too. So we can like kind of both benefit from the structure.
definitely. All right. So what's the next tip you got for us?
All right, tip number two. Tip number two really has to do with giving students a way, or maybe a multitude of ways, but a specific way that they can advocate for themselves. Like if there's nothing that we've learned, one of the biggest things is that when students aren't in our classroom, they have to choose to be there. And you have to ask a lot of questions, and you have to really, really work hard as an educator to get to know your students when they're not physically in front of you. Even when they are physically in front of you, when you're wearing a mask, there are a lot of like features that we usually like pick up as data points for students that we don't have as easily accessible to us. So giving students a way for them to advocate for their needs, to voice their thoughts and opinions, not just like at the end of the week or the end of the quarter, at the end of the semester, like legitimately every moment is so important. We have a system in my classroom where we use a tracking page where students document their progression in learning. And they not only document where they are, but how they're feeling about their learning and what they need during their learning. And we honestly, guys, we do this with like colors. So we use colors, they mean certain things. And so at any point in time, this living, breathing document, I can pop on and be like, okay, this student's doing awesome. They're feeling super confident. This student is unsure, might want to check in on that kiddo. And then this student's totally lost. So how can I help them? And then the flip side, this is actually universally shared with all my students. So my students can take that inventory on each other at any point in time, which creates really good group work.
Yeah, I love that. And so what do you do that in a sheet?
Yeah, I'm legitimately like redoing it right now. Like in between our interview, I was like working on it and I have to go back to it later, but it's just a Google sheet and all the students' names are on one side and they like communicate going across in the row. So it's super easy.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, I do. I do something like that more geared if I have a specific project going on. And
Sure.
another thing that I like to do is a poll. So sometimes I'll do it right in Zoom, or I don't know if Google Meets has that function,
Yeah.
or it'll be Pear Deck or one of those other add-ons. And I just find that's really good for collecting that real-time data.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Not only like having our students advocate, but us specifically asking questions to gather data. So important. Polls have been awesome. Even like goofy polls. We've done so many
Yeah.
funny polls this year.
No, it's and I find that too, like kind of relating it back to tip number one is that's one of my most effective ways to get students in. Cause like you said, they have to choose to be there. So if you're asking them like, what's the better gaming system? Cause PS5 just came out. So we
Yeah.
got into this really intense debate over that. And like the kids, like the energy was so good. And my participation that day was on point.
Well, and that's the whole point, right? Like, I love being a teacher, but to be honest, I'm not like a math teacher because I love math. Like, I think math's cool, but I also think math is really hard. And so we have to see our students as humans, get to know them, set the tone for the environment of learning. Sometimes the tone isn't like math is important. Sometimes the tone is let's laugh it out. Like that creates a much more fun tone to be a part of. And we see that not only in classrooms, but that should be happening in staff meetings. I know the Teach Better team focuses a lot on our internal culture. If you're not creating a space for people to like goof off sometimes, then it's no fun.
Yeah, that's super important, especially too, because like you said, a lot of times in the hybrid, you're on the computers. And so you're not moving around and doing that gallery walk. And that's definitely something I try to make sure is between classes. I was like, all right, guys, let's get up. We were playing a lot of trash can basketball in my class, which is something I would never let happen before, but they can all stand like in their space and, do it across the room. So
Oh, completely. And I think it's funny that you said that, like, although we're hybrid, a lot of people are working through technology. And I've seen a lot of that be success. I'm not counting this as a tip. Don't count this. I still want my number three. But
okay.
like my other thing I've seen is like when teachers are planning to teach remotely, even in a hybrid setting, then they're able to accommodate and be flexible versus planning an in-person lesson, trying to go backwards becomes really challenging because our minds just haven't been trained to work that way. So if you're an educator right now struggling, I want you to be reflective. Are you planning to be 100% remote and then adding some versatility? Or are you going the other way? Because one is so much easier than the other. And I know like us here, we would love to help you like problem solve through that because it's important that you feel confident with what you're doing.
That's a great point. That's a great point. But it's not tip number 3. This
Not
is
perfect.
tip number 3 right here.
All right, tip number 3 is an oldie but a goodie. And I think it's so funny that this comes up as like, ooh, hot tip for hybrid, because I actually think we should be doing this forever. But I have loved my parents being like so interested in the education system recently. I definitely do not have like 100% of my parents jumping in and being like, school's awesome. But I have had a lot of parents be exceptionally inquisitive about school. And I think that's because it's more like in their face, or they're like, oh, my kid's not leaving the house. Like, what's this thing school that they're going to? And sometimes it doesn't come across in like a loving way, a loving, warm way. But to be honest with you, like, them showing interest is a plus. Like them asking questions, regardless of where it's coming from, that's good for us as teachers that they are interested in the work that we do, because we do more than just babysit kids. So one of the tips I have is to up your communication game with parents in the easiest way. I'm telling you, I live and die by this rule, is to do a weekly or monthly video email. If you guys are not doing video emails, it has like saved my life. I just record a really quick video. Sometimes it's like just via Zoom, like press record. Nobody else has to be here. You can still record and just talk like to your families, like you do your students, like have them hear your tone, share an excitement, an aha moment, share a tip or trick that might be helpful. For me, if I get like the same question in an email twice, I just automatically record an email and send it out. And I could just as easily, guys, type up an email and send to my families. When you're doing it with a video, you're really bringing like a human element. And I cannot tell you how often my parents like contact me and they're like, Ray, we feel like we know you because we see you all the time. And guys, I'm not seeing them. They're just seeing the videos. And I think that we need to add a little bit of like human nature with our communication with parents. Like I really see parents and teachers like in a marriage where we have to rough it together no matter how hard it gets. And like video has been wonderful for this.
Yeah, that's definitely a positive I see coming out of this, is just reminding ourselves that this is when the teachers and the parents come together, then our students win. And
Yeah.
like you said, it's up to us to set the tone, because I mean, can you imagine being on the other side of a screen? You don't really know how to use the program. You're not sure what the directions are. Your kid's not sure. So obviously they're frustrated, and sometimes that comes off. But when you meet them with love and joy and appreciation, then it kind of sets that tone, and it helps reset that moment for them.
Well, it's even like, we all have students, whether we're hybrid, remote, or anything in between, who like kind of like disappear off the face of the planet for a while. And as teachers, we get nervous. We don't know what that means. And so if you can record like a quick selfie, like video, and like text it to a parent or like whatever, it comes across so differently. Like, oh, I haven't seen your kid in a while. What's up? Versus them seeing my face and being like, I miss your son. When is he coming back? Like, how can I help you get him out of bed? Like, I just feel like we need to really share our appreciation, and sometimes tone and facial expressions really help with that.
Totally. I
Fun.
so appreciate you, your tone, your energy, all your great tips and encouragement for all those teachers out there going back, facing this is the most difficult situation that I'm sure that any teacher has faced. So I know that they're going to get a lot of value from their tips. And where should people be following you so that they can reach out? And you always are putting out great content on your page so they can continuously get tips. You have a Facebook group too, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so many ways, guys. You can just, it's all my social media handles like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, anything in between. It's just my name at Ray Hughart. But really the gold is like teachbetter.com, at the Teach Better team on all social media. It's really great to like connect with people on my own platforms, because I do try and share as much as possible. But the Teach Better team has thousands and thousands and thousands of educators all sharing their voice, and like daily blogs being published or podcasts in our podcast network or anything in between. So definitely just go check them out, because you'll end up connecting with somebody else, and that's how we be better. We like need to be very, very connected educators. So Really appreciate like coming on and sharing tips. And I would love for your network, everybody here, like share your one tip or top 3 tips with us, because then we can share that out even further. I'm always looking for ideas for my classroom. I don't know about you.
Always, always. And we will put those links in the description down below so anybody could get those. And I'm looking forward to seeing all those tips.